Hello, you beautiful people. I am your neighborhood Zodiac Lord, and I'm here bringing you more Lunaverse paints because I know that you've all really wanted these, and I'm finally bringing you more. Hooray! So first of all, I have to say, if you haven't watched any of the other Lunaverse commentary paint things, I suggest you go find them and watch them from Luna to Jackson to Infinity to this one because if all of these go in chronological order for the most part, so if you don't watch one, you're not going to understand anything past that. So I highly recommend you go watch those. So yeah, but this character was fun, and this turned out significantly better than I had imagined it is. And if you can't tell, I'm still kind of sick, but I wanted to record this because I had the opportunity, and since my tablet is still not really functioning very well, I thought it'd be best to finally get this done, and uh, so I can have it out there because I know you guys really wanted to have the next one, and that's really cool because that motivates me to keep doing these. So hey, I'm happy. I'm overjoyed to make them. So this one I love. It turned out it took a lot less time than I thought it would, and it was just fun, and I just think it turned out tremendously. Uh, this character you see before you is Vanessa Leighton, who is a witch, by the way. I know she may not look like a very traditional witch, but there's a lot of world building stuff in the Lunaverse, and honestly, I was going to talk about all of Vanessa's backstory and stuff in here, but I recorded it. It took me 30 minutes. And I didn't want to make that long, and especially because I plan on making these music versions of these at some point, and I want to keep them around 10, 11 minutes for those music versions. So, yeah, I decided that, you know what, I'll save a lot of the world building, a lot of the backstory stuff for future videos, and maybe I'll try and aim to one day make videos that are just dedicated to world building. Like if there's something I want to talk about in particular, I'll make something relating to that, and etc. etc. But anyway, let's just get into who this lovely witch is before you. So Vanessa's character origins was actually pretty funny. It was while most of the Lunaverse characters you'll find are actually adoptables, which I purchased and I incorporated into the world, Vanessa was actually an adoptable that I made. And way, way back in the day, I made a bunch of like 3 witch adoptables, but there was one that I really loved. And honestly, if you go back and look at that, it was pretty terrible, honestly, and she's evolved much from that original design. Which she's evolved, I believe, in the right directions. But so I actually just decided to keep her, and thank goodness I did because I absolutely love Vanessa. So Vanessa's whole shtick is that she kind of acts like a demon in a sense. She's a witch, but you'll find in the Lunaverse universe that witches don't look like Vanessa. All look like Vanessa. Vanessa is used to actually look like a normal human being, and she lived way back in during like the Salem witch trials, and she was used to look normal. But what happened is that Vanessa is what we like to call a dark witch in a sense, because she actually made a deal with the demon to unlock dark magic that all witches have inside them. I know that sounds rather confusing, but trust me, it's part of the universe. But like all witches are born with dark magic kind of inside them, but they can't use it unless a third party unlocks it for them, typically a demon of some kind, just to make that clear. So Vanessa is one of those witches, and with that comes the weird funky eyes. One random trait that kind of just depends on the person, and there's no real factor that determines what it is. And for Vanessa, she's got shark teeth, which I tried to put in the picture, but it didn't really work out. And it's a random thing. Like some witches will just get pointy ears, some will get like weird, some might get even green skin. It depends on the witch. But Vanessa got her shark teeth, and it also comes with immortality, which is actually, of course, a I know, cliche, I know, but it's more of a price than it is a gift for many reasons. And for Vanessa it sure was, but I won't go into that because mystery, ooh, spooky. But Vanessa functions like kind of the stereotypical demon in a sense. She makes deals with people to get something in benefit from it. Typically your usual soul kind of thing, cliches, but in the underworld, underground kind of thing. Souls are kind of almost like, they're almost like currency in a sense. They can be used for all sorts of different things, so they're a great thing to have in the underworld, you know? Vanessa's actual personality originally was based off of Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls, so this is just to me get a sense of what her personality is kind of like. You can read up on her on my DeviantArt. Obviously, I have a far more in-depth thing on her personality, so if you're interested, go check out my DeviantArt, because that has TheZodiacLord is my DeviantArt, but, like, go check that out because I have so much more in detail about her. But anyway, so she functions a lot like, she's kind of a lot like Bill Cipher in her personality. She's pretty sly, pretty charming, pretty clever kind of thing, you know, pretty charismatic, pretty sarcastic, and, you know, like stuff kind of like that. I also like to compare her to Alucard from Hellsing. If any of you watched that, I actually made her before I ever knew Hellsing was ever a thing. I never watched Hellsing, but I've watched Hellsing Abridged, and according to my brother, Alucard and Hellsing Abridged is not very far off from the show, and if that's the case, then they are, like, twins. If Vanessa was a male vampire, she'd probably be Alucard, if I'm being honest. That was not intentional. But, so she's pretty, you know, she's the kind of person who's always got this smug, smirky kind of face, you know, and how she showed up in the Lunaverse Luna household kind of thing is rather bizarre, because you'll notice, and you can't really see it right now because I've only introduced 3 characters before her, but if you see the other characters that are going to show up after this, they all kind of have a certain theme to how they show up. It's always that somebody finds them. Like, they don't really show up, it's that somebody else in the house is looking around, they find them, and they basically bring them home. That's kind of how it works. But Vanessa just kind of showed up. Like, she just kind of showed up like, this is my house, so I'm here now. And Vanessa, just for some context, she lives in the woods that the mansion is located in, and she has lived there for a long time with her demon compadre, Larith. And so she just kind of showed up, and she, like, Luna was not happy about that, just like, excuse me, this is my house, and I'd be more weirded out by this had I not already met a god, and she kind of Infinity kind of set the bar pretty high, so it wasn't that weird, and Vanessa didn't even treat it like that was that weird. She knew everybody's names before anyone could introduce them. She kind of, like, it's kind of like one of those freaky things where she seems to know more about everyone else than they know about themselves, which is part of her, a big part of her character, and is actually very important to the story. But also a thing to mention, because this is very important, because all of my DeviantArt followers would be upset if I didn't mention this, and if you look at my DeviantArt, you're probably going to notice the fact that a lot of the pictures involving Vanessa include this random poofy-haired blonde girl named Victoria, and that's basically was her girlfriend, who's dead. Can't really talk about why, because again, story stuff, but that was her girlfriend Victoria. That's kind of like the OTP of the Lunaverse. If there's ever a ship if there was only ever one ship that could ever be canon, or if there was ever literally one true pairing, it's Vanessa and Victoria, which has been dubbed Ventoria. So, yeah, I should also mention, because just so you know in the future, if I ever make tons of jokes about Vanessa being gay, it's because she's 100% a lesbian, and the reason that's special and important for me to mention is because she's probably the only character I can think of that I own that would never swing the other way, which is kind of weird, because the way and obviously you don't have to agree with me, but I believe when it comes to sexualities that if someone were to meet the one, the, like, totally right person, if, like, a straight person was to meet someone of the same gender who was, like, the perfect match for them, like, their soulmates, that they could still date them, and vice versa. But Vanessa's the only character that no matter what, no matter who the person is, if it's a guy, I can't pair it up with her. It just doesn't feel right to me. And she's probably the only character I have that's really like that. There's other characters that I look at like, yeah, they're straight, but if it was this person, I could pair them up, and then vice versa. In fact, what's funny is that she has a best friend in the Lunaverse whom I won't introduce for a long time, but his name is Xavier, just to mention that. And Vanessa and Xavier are like BFFs for life. It's the best. And honestly, I said that if Vanessa wasn't such a hardcore lesbian, they'd totally be dating. But because for some reason, she's the one character I can't pair with a dude. They're never gonna be a ship, which is like, I don't know. I find it funny because every other character I own, there's always like, if it was just this kind of person, I could pair it with them. Vanessa's like the one exception, which I don't know why that is, but I wish I could like talk, because there's so much about Vanessa I want to talk about, because she's a really, really complex character. There's a reason why she's probably my favorite out of at least all the other Lunaverse characters, debatably all of my characters. But she's a very complex character with a very complicated backstory. I mean, that's the reason why I didn't put the whole backstory in here, because it was 30 minutes and there was nothing I could leave out, because there's so many details in her backstory that are important that even a summary is super long. So I hope you like that. I'm sorry if anything was super vague. I will hopefully get the next one at some point. The next one's going to be weird because it'll be probably the first time I draw either of the two next ones without the other one, and I have to resist the urge to draw them together because they're not a couple, mind you, but I always want to put them together because that's just kind of their whole entire dynamic. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I super love how this drawing came out. I hope you're interested, because Vanessa's a lot more complicated, and trust me, I'm going to make more pictures in the future just to talk about her, because there's just so much I want to talk about with her, but I can't really fit that into like 10-12 minutes. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, hope you're all having a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next video. Zodiac out.